Hello, friend. Like you, I am watching and I'm about to be the next guest on Screen and Beyond. What? Who am I? Oh, good question. Pat Boone.
On Screen and Beyond, an inside look into the entertainment world featuring interviews with people from the movie, TV, and music industry, news on upcoming TV and DVD releases, and the rumor mill. And now, here's the host of On Screen and Beyond, Brian Zemrak.
Here we are again for another episode of On Screen and Beyond. This is episode 734, and this is the show that brings you a celebrity guest each week from the movie, TV, music industry, as well as keeping you updated on what's coming your way as far as remakes, sequels, and prequels, upcoming new movies, TV and movie DVD releases, and the rumor mill. Joining us this week, we have movie, TV, and music icon Pat Boone as our guest. Pat has had so many hit records, and he is here to share memories of his career as well as info on his latest worthy project that will help bring needed water to the people of Tanzania. Legend Pat Boone is coming our way very, very shortly right here on Screen and Beyond. And if you, want to help us out, subscribe on whatever podcast platform you get us on, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Amazon, Alexa, Podbeam, or Spotify for the audio version, or for the video version on Spotify or YouTube. And that, keeps you to get the episode immediately as soon as we release it. And be sure to follow us on Screen and Beyond on Instagram, Facebook, and also at onscreenbeyond.com, of course. And if you have a suggestion for a guest or a question, you can email me at feedback@onscreenandbeyond.com. Now, Pat Boone is coming up in a few minutes right here on Screen and Beyond, and we have a lot of news coming away, so let's get right into it. It's time for remakes, sequels, and prequels on Screen and Beyond.
Please hang up and try again.
Remakes, sequels, and prequels. The Hunger Games franchise will continue as they prepare for prequels with the adaptation of Sunrise on the Reaping. May 16th is the release date in theaters of Final Destination Bloodlines, the remake of The Bride of Frankenstein, called The Bride from Maggie Gyllenhaal, will arrive on March 6th, 2026, starring Jessie Buckley. Well, Keanu Reeves had said that he wasn't sure if his knees could stand another John Wick movie, but there is going to be a prequel. An animated prequel, that is, and it's expected that Keanu will voice the character. And we'll let you know when we hear more about that one. And the rumors of a sequel to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood focuses on Brad Pitt's character. It's been going around. We'll see if that really comes about. And that's it for remakes, sequels, and prequels. Coming up next on Screen and Beyond, upcoming new movies. Upcoming new movies, Daniel Radcliffe will star in a film called Merrily We Roll Along for Sony Classic Pictures. Tia Carrere will join the cast of the rom-com The Last Resort with Daisy Ridley, and Sam Mendes's The Beatles movies, 4 of them, one for each Beatle member, will all come out in theaters in April of 2028. And that is it for upcoming new movies. Next on Screen and Beyond, it's movies and TV on DVD and streaming. Movies and TV on DVD and streaming. The heartwarming animated Paddington in Peru will walk on to Blu-ray and DVD on April 29th. The original Lilo and Stitch swims on to 4K on May 6th. The 1992 film Scent of a Woman with Al Pacino goes Blu-ray and 4K on May 27th. Stephen King's 1983 The Dead Zone story arrives on Blu-ray and 4K Steelbook on June 10th. And The Wiz from 1978 with Diana Ross, Michael Jackson, and Richard Pryor will dance on to Blu-ray and 4K on June 10th also. And that is it for movies and TV on DVD and streaming. Coming up next on Screen and Beyond, it's TV and entertainment time. TV and entertainment time this summer, Paramount Plus will release season 3 of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. And a sequel to The Handmaid's Tale called The Testament is in production as the final season of The Handmaid's Tale has arrived. And Dexter, the original sin, has been renewed for a second season over at Showtime. And that's it for TV and entertainment time. Coming up next on Screen and Beyond, we have TV, movie, and music legend Pat Boone right here on Screen and Beyond. Over the years here at On Screen and Beyond, we have had many icons from the movie, TV, and music industry. Today, our guest is an icon from all three of those. He has had 38 top 40 hits, with 6 of them landing at number 1. He had his own TV variety show with over 100 episodes. On the big screen, he was in Bernadine, April Love, Journey to the Center of the Earth, Goodbye Charlie, The Greatest Story Ever Told, and so many others, including most recently in Reagan. His latest project brings together some of country music's biggest names in a song that will help bring vital water to the people of Tanzania. He was our guest here on Screen and Beyond back in 2016 on episode 432, and it's a pleasure to have him back. It's Pat Boone. Pat, welcome to On Screen and Beyond.
Hey, thanks. Good to be with you, Brian. Our last episode was enjoyable, and I know this will be too. You know, you left out one item, not that you should have mentioned it, but in my biography is I'm the only entertainer that was involved in the creation of the American Basketball Association. And I am going to meet Steph Curry someday soon and say, you owe me, brother. You became a multimillionaire with that 3-point shot. We were already doing 3-point. We were doing the distance of those shots, but weren't giving them 3 points. So I really feel like he owes me, but I'll take that up with him.
So you're a big basketball fan, right?
Oh, big fan. And I played basketball myself growing up, and as I say, owned the Oakland Oaks. And fortunately, I was able to survive when the league failed. But just before it failed, and I know this was a God thing, a man that I've still never met named Earl Foreman, a lawyer in Washington, he was putting together a sports complex, and they meant to have a hockey team, soccer team, possibly football, baseball, and basketball. And so he flew to the Bank of America in San Francisco to buy the Oakland Oaks. And the banker, who knew what trouble we were in because my own partner had declared bankruptcy and left me holding the bag as the sole owner of the team that had just the championship for its second year with Rick Barry. But the banker knew that I was down to the bottom of the financial barrel as far as that enterprise was concerned. And so he made a deal without asking me. I read about it in the paper that the Oakland Oaks had been bought and were going to be moved to Washington. And I never met the banker. I never met the man, Earl Foreman, who did that transaction. And so I know it was a God thing. He has blessed and helped me out of pits or a bad error that I'd gotten into. But fortunately, it wasn't the kind of error that overtakes so many performers. You know, I had a happy marriage, lovely wife. We're still married after 68 years. She's in heaven waiting for me now, and tidying up a mansion that Jesus said he goes to prepare a place for us, and that where he is, we may be also. So Shirley, I know, is waiting for me. I've had several people try to introduce me to younger women, say only in their 70s, who were athletic and educated and fun to be with. And I say, wait a minute. There's not ever going to be another Mrs. Pat Boone. I'm happy with that wife that mothered my children and grandmother to grandkids, and now 17 great grandkids. And I know that beautiful lady is waiting for me now and probably nudging the Lord, saying, "Hey, Pat's too busy again. Can you get him to slow down? He's trying to do too much at once." That was always her gripe with me. She felt she was married to triplets and she wanted two of them to get lost. She keep one. Anyway, enough about that, but I do enjoy talking with you because you usually know as much about me as I do.
Well, hopefully we can get into a few other things about your life and career, but I really want to talk about, you mentioned you're always doing something. Now you're doing this wonderful project and you've brought together some of the most amazing country artists to sing a song called One to help the people in Tanzania get, and it just blows my mind that in this day and age, we are still trying to get water,
Yes.
the simple thing of water to people.
Yeah. And I had gotten involved some time ago with God TV, a network across the world, and they had created a crusade called Cape Town to Cairo. They wanted to bring freshwater wells into every nation, 40 nations in Africa, the continent. And so Shirley and I bought into that, and we did bring a 500-foot well into existence in Tanzania. And we built a little wood frame school to raise the literacy level because those people living like they did 3,000 years ago had no way so far in the desert. The kids couldn't go to any school. So we created a school and hired some teachers to raise them to what we would call eighth grade literacy level, from where they can go on and maybe go to other countries and become rocket scientists or teachers or successful business people. But they didn't have that kind of opportunity until the Pat and Shirley Life Center, as we called it, existed in Tanzania. But that was just one well and powered by the solar. So the sun was keeping that windmill going. And I went there and they didn't know who I was, anything about me. They just knew some American had come over and drilled this well, and now they had fresh water. Because I knew, and most people still to this day don't know, that the average life expectancy of a child born in that part of Tanzania and in 40 other countries in Africa, life expectancy 5.
Wow, that's
When
sad.
you have a child, because that child is drinking poisoned water, there's no other water available. And the women to this day trudge across the hot sand, maybe bringing a child or two, empty pitchers or something to carry water in. They scoop the water out of a muddy ditch where cattle and other animals come, and it's polluted and poisoned. And they take that water back to their homes, and that's what they work with and cook with, and their kids die. And so I know we can do something about it. And my entertainer friends, you mentioned the entertainers who came aboard with this song that I had written called One. And we made a We're the World thing out of it with another organization called World Serve that have already been involved in getting these wells. And they're a wonderful Christian company and effective company. But of course, they can't do it all. So they use my song, One, as a fundraising method to try to do what We of the World did with a lot of entertainers. We got Vince Gill, Alabama, Lee Greenwood, Larry Gatlin, Pam Tillis, Deborah Allen, Billy Dean, Wendy Moten, and a bunch of others, including a fabulous, the best trumpeter maybe who ever lived, except Gabriel. And that's David Hooten. He's an Oklahoman, going to be running for governor, I think, but he's a fantastic trumpeter. And so we created this, and now we go, if people will just join with us, and it just goes to One for Tanzania, One for Tanzania. And a red button will come up, and you can not red buttons, but a red button. And so you can give. I want mothers to bring their children to the website. And so, and of course, there are pictures in this story, and you can know more about it. But let the kids' hearts be touched in the plight of other kids like them, who we take for granted can have all the fresh water and other drinks that they want, no problem ever, in most cases in this country. But children only have poisoned water, and it shortens their lives. And kids, I know their hearts will cause them to want to do whatever they can. If there is something, and if it's just a quarter, if it's 50 cents, if it's the piggy bank, but then let the parents also demonstrate their concern by also making whatever donation their hearts can give, as if these were their kids that had a 5-year life expectancy. We can do something about it. Those kids can live if we will act. And where We Are the World was great, still working. I'm thinking of ours as We Are the Well, and not We Are the World. But let's bring fresh water. In fact, I keep talking, and I will if you don't stop me. but I am motivated explicitly by the scripture, Matthew 10, it is in verse 24, where kids were being attracted to this charismatic, wonderful man who was raising the dead, healing the sick, and they wanted to be close to him, but they were attracted to him, Jesus. And his disciples said, "Hey, shoo, leave him alone. Hey, leave it, back off, kids." And Jesus, according to Matthew 10, said, "Shut up." No, he didn't say shut up, but it says he rebuked them. And he said, "I want these little ones to come to me, because of such is the kingdom of God." And then he said this, "If anyone gives even a cup of cold water to one of these little ones who are my disciples, who love me, who care about me, who are attracted to me, truly I tell you, that person will certainly not lose his or her reward for a cup of cold water to one of these children." That comes from God himself in person. And so I know that people who become part of this will be blessed by God for it, because we're obeying this exact scripture, explicit scripture, giving cold water to children whose lives depend on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, was it difficult to get all these? I mean, these are some big names that you have
Yeah.
in the song, and yourself. You're singing in the song too.
Well, it really was. It was a job, of course, because you have to go through the representatives in most cases, like people have to go through to get to me. But the ones I did reach all enthusiastically said, "Yes, we recorded in Reba McEntire's studio." And when we called the various ones like Vince Gill and Lee Greenwood, I mean, God bless the USA, he jumped into this. My voice is the first voice you hear in this song that I wrote, and it's called One. And the next voice is Lee Greenwood, and then all the others. And now that this has already been put together, and we had to go ahead and introduce it now and release it now, because we were in sync with the United Nations, who declared March 21st World Water Day. And so we brought our song out, and it'll be a surprise to you, a shock to me, that in a matter of a week or two, I was #2 in adult contemporary charts
Wow.
on all radio, and behind a Chinese group I never heard of, but ahead of Billie Eilish, Jelly Roll, Lady Gaga, all of them on the most active and what's the word, added to these adult contemporary stations. And now I'm 22 on the chart in record sales and play. I say me and all these wonderful entertainers who jumped aboard with me. And now some of those whose names I won't mention have been contacting me, say, "Why am I not on that? Why didn't you call me?" And I say, "I tried to reach you. My people tried to reach your people, and we didn't get through to you." And so we had to go with the folks who were more readily accessible, and who, when they heard about it, said, "Sure, I'll do it. Let me do it." And that's a wonderful thing about all entertainers. I think especially country entertainers, because they feel closer to the people, I think, than rock stars or just big pop
Hmm.
performers who become, so successful and buy the mansions and airplanes and all that. Country people, country artists in particular, usually buy farms. they they live in the country still,
Hmm.
and they have horses and cows and sheep, and they're still closer to the earth and closer to people who work for them. And when you ask them to come aboard and something like this, to reach out to people that are in desperate need, people like these that I've already named, jump at the opportunity. They all came into the studio at various times and recorded their part. And now I may, we may do a second edition, same music, but add some of these other performers and let them sing a volume two
Hmm.
or a second version.
Good
We
idea.
won't do that, but we will not erase what those who already joined do, and that includes something that we didn't know about, a group of singers that we didn't know about in Nashville until we were in the midst of recording. And it's a group called the Legacy Mission Village Singers. They are made up of naturalized citizens from that part of the world, from Africa, including especially Tanzania, where our well Shirley and I brought in, and is sort of the role model for people to follow in whatever way they can. But this group, they get together on a regular basis and sing gospel songs in Swahili.
Hmm.
So in our record, we'd already done what we're doing our songs with all of these big name entertainers, successful entertainers, but we added these voices and their singing, which is goosebumpy, is incredible. And Wamoja is one, the one, I mean, they put my words into their language and sing with such not just heart and feeling, but they are pleased for us to help their families and their loved ones and their countrymen and women and their grandkids who are dying from lack of fresh water to drink. And so they're singing in our record for their own cause, which we didn't know about them until we were making the record. But boy, it makes this song, which I hope record radio will keep playing,
Yes,
uh,
definitely.
not just to remind them, but to hear these heartfelt young people. And I've been there. I went and sang with them, apart from my own song. There's a special uh, feeling, and it gives you goosebumps. It does to me and everybody who hears them join in to the chorus of these country entertainers,
Hmm.
uh, and especially when they know that they are singing for their own country and their own loved ones, and begging, saying, "Please, uh, would God help you, help us."
Yeah. I mean, they're asking for just water. I mean, it's just water. Everybody should have that. There's just
Yeah.
no question about it.
We are personally made up like 70% of water. Our bodies, there's meat on the bones, of course, but without water, we can't live more than about 3 days at
Yeah.
the most.
Yeah.
And in fact, the major entertainer who just died, whose name the actor, he and his wife were found in the bathroom,
Gene
and
Hackman. Yes.
Hackman, and the pills were scattered on the floor, and they were trying to take pills for something, but lying there on that floor without water, and they evidently were both uh, they were injured in some way or depleted in some way. They couldn't even get water out of the faucet.
Yeah. Jeez.
So when they were found eventually, it was not a pretty sight, but it was the main thing they were lacking, it seems, that caused their death was water.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Loretta Swit, and I'm on Screen and Beyond.
Now, Pat, did you ever imagine that when you first started your career, that it would develop into singing, then movies, then, everything else you've gotten into, and now this? I mean, you're just helping people all the time.
Well, that's a great question and an issue to bring up. No, I had done some singing. I dreamed like every other musical kid back then when all we had was radio and some TV and recording. My mom and dad were Bing Crosby fans. And so we had Bing Crosby records, and he made singing seem so much fun and easy to do. And I and my brother, who also sings, uh, did sing, he's now singing in heaven, but we would sing for family groups, and they seemed to like the way we sang. And then I in Nashville, which where much music was created, it entered my mind in my dream life to think about being a singer someday. But when I sang a song once for Eddie Arnold, I was dating Red Foley's daughter. Now, Red Foley, the Hall of Fame singer. He
That's
sang gospel music, Steal Away, Peace in the Valley, as well as songs that I have recorded in my own albums. But I was in love with his daughter, Shirley, and we were 19, and he was her mom, his wife had died of heart disease. And so he was moving his daughters, including Shirley, to Springfield, Missouri, to start the Ozark Jubilee, and it became the first countrywide national televised country show, Springfield from Ozark Jubilee from Springfield. Now he was getting ready to take the girl I was in love with, and we were already talking about how many kids we were going to have, and even names, and I mean just envisioning ourselves being married at 19. And now he's taking her away, and I couldn't stand it. And I said, honey, why don't we get married? Let's ask your dad. I'm not going to ask my parents because they'll immediately say, no, get your college out of the way first. But your dad's going to take you away, and I can't stand it. And I said, would you be willing to marry me for us to get? And she said, yes. So we into her home, much nicer materially than the one I had grown up in, because he was such a successful star, but he loved his kids too, and wonderful man. And so we sat him down in the breakfast nook to talk. And he said, what can I do for your kids? And I said, well, Mr. Red, I think you know I love Shirley. And he looked at me very soberly and he said, I think you do. And he looked at Shirley. He says, you feel that about you too, about him, about you, don't you, honey? She said, yes, Daddy. Well, what can I do for you? We said, we want to get married. And he says, well, when are you thinking? We said, tomorrow.
wow.
What? What? Well, you're leaving on Monday. This was a Friday. So tears ran down his nose into his coffee, and and I thought later that he was remembering when he married Shirley's mama. She was only 18 in Chicago, and his first wife had died giving birth to Shirley's older sister, who had become her older sister, Betty. And he came back after burying his wife and his little baby. No, not the baby survived. He brought the baby in his arms and turned that child, Betty, over to uh, the grandparents, his parents. And he came back and fell in love with a girl singer from a trio on the, I think, what was it called? The dance, folk, no, I forget the name of that show he was doing in Chicago, the big country show. And they married, and he asked her parents for her hand in marriage when she was 18. So now his daughter, I'm asking him for Shirley's hand at 19, and he couldn't say no. He said, I'll buy your rings.
Wow.
And we went down to the jewelry store and bought rings that her dad paid for. I didn't talk to my parents about it. We had our high school principal marry us on Saturday. And then because in Davidson County, we couldn't get a license signed but that soon. So we went to a justice of the peace in Springfield, Tennessee, named Alan Killam, and that I never cared for that name, but it's Killom. And he married us that day, so we were married twice on that day, and then that was 68 years ago,
Wow.
and that's more story than you needed. But by then, I was thinking about I was going to be a school teacher, but I'd won two talent scout shows on national television. No contract or offers came from it immediately. But after Shirley and I married, and like a year later, I get a call from Randy Wood of Dot Records outside Nashville with a very aggressive young startup label called Dot.
Mhm.
And he said, I saw you in those talent shows. You want to make a record? And I said, well, sure. And he sent me a ticket to go to Chicago. And I recorded a song called Two Hearts, Two Kisses, Make One Love by the Charms on the Dutone label. It's rhythm and blues. One heart's not enough, baby. Two hearts will make you feel crazy. One kiss will make you feel so nice. Two kisses take you to paradise. Two hearts, two kisses, make one love. Well, that silly little song, rock and roll rhythm and blues, became a million seller. Boom, my first record. The next, and that was October. No, that was in January, was it? No. Yeah, it was January of 55. In May of 55, we had to do a follow-up #2 record, and that was Fats Domino's You Made Me Cry When You Said Goodbye. Ain't that
Ain't
a
that a
shame?
shame? Yeah.
That was a multi-million seller, and all of a sudden I was on my way. I didn't look for it. It came to me. I moved Shirley. We moved. We were expecting our second child already, and we moved to New Jersey. And then I did the Arthur Godfrey Talent Scout show, and then I did my own show, the Pat Boone Chevy Showroom, youngest guy ever to have his own musical variety show at 22, 23, and then I was making movies, and I had to decide: am I going to get a? I graduate magna cum laude from Columbia University, but I took a few minutes thinking: am I going to apply for a teaching job? Wait a minute, I've got this 7-year movie deal. I've got this contract with ABC Television. I'm having hit record. I guess I'm going to have to see where this goes before I apply for that teaching job. And by the time I graduated, by the way, at 23, Shirley and I had 4 kids, 4 daughters, and they were actually almost introduced on the Arthur Godfrey show, one after the other, and then on my own show, on the Pat Boone Chevy show. So this all happened to me. I didn't seek it. I couldn't take credit for having it happen. It was God, and I felt that he had created for me a platform to be a teacher of sorts and to have influence in the lives of young people, teenagers especially, as I became a teen idol. And I would have a voice and a platform from which I might be able to affect the lives of young people in a much broader and even deeper way than if I'd been a school teacher for these same kids for a year or two. And so I drifted into that, knowing that from then on, when projects like this could happen, it was Jerry Lewis's show first that I went on a number of times. And then I did the Easter Seal telethon. I hosted for 18 years for Easter Seals that helped kids with all kinds of ailments and needs. And then a National Association for the Blind. And then for the organization that feeds the hungry in Israel, and now and our National Fellowship of Christians and Jews. I mean, these things have been part of my life all this time throughout my career because of my sense that I was given the opportunity and the platform to do some good, whatever I could do, whatever God gave me to do, I would try to do it.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Tippi Hedren on Screen and Beyond.
Well, Pat, I have to tell you, I know we have to finish up here, but you are an inspiration to myself and so many other people, and everything that you do is just amazing. And I'd like to finish up with one final question, quick question.
Before you even ask that question, I just want to, add how can people be involved? And it's you go to the web, any web device, and just type in 1 4 Tanzania, 1 4 Tanzania, and a red button will appear, and you can press that button and you can contribute 25 cents, $25, or whatever your heart tells you.
Yep.
And so I just wanted to get that where people can know
Yep.
how they see more of the song as well, but and hear the song, but contribute to saving the lives, literally, at God's enhancement and promise of blessing.
Yep.
You'll do that.
Yep. Well, and you sound great in the song. I got to tell you that too. So,
Oh, well, thanks.
but to finish up real quick here, what do you enjoy on TV and movies? What are your favorite TV and movies of all time? What do you like watching?
Well, sports.
Yeah.
I'm a sports fanatic because of my among other accomplishments, I helped create, I think I may have mentioned to you, the ABA.
Right. Yes.
And I played basketball myself as often as I could, even recently in national senior games in the 70 to 75 bracket, the 75 to 80 bracket, even the 80 to 85 bracket,
Wow.
3-on-3 basketball and then I mean, so sports, and then I look for good family entertainment. I just went through my TV set right now in my recorder, getting rid of programs that I tuned in to see what they were. And there are some of the most execrable, most terrible things on television. And I just beg people to turn that stuff off their TV sets. The kids are going to see them.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
the shows that are on there on HBO and all the channels, I'm going to mention one by name that is the most vile, and it's called oh gosh, it's the Gemstones, and it is making a farce of a church fellowship that's supposedly very charitable and very outgoing, and it's filthy, absolutely, in language and in everything they portray, and they make religion. And I think that's the point of the people who are producing it. And I can't stand that some of these well-known actors are being part of it. The language is the most foul 4-letter words all the time. And they're doing the most reprehensible things as supposed ministers.
Yeah.
And they call themselves the Gemstones, and a big church that people may, if they just don't know enough, may connect some of the best ministries in the world that come from churches like Kenneth Copeland and CBN and all the great church organizations that are helping people around the world. They may connect those filthy shows and make believe or think that maybe some of these really worthy ones are like that because they don't know enough. One last point on that. Got the Barna and Gallup pollsters say fewer than 50% of Americans go to any place of worship now, a temple, a synagogue, a church, and fewer than 50% say they even pray, or if they do pray, they're not sure anybody's listening. And in that kind of moral vacuum, our country is divided, and we're losing the very principles who gave us America. And I had another song just recently that was also on the charts. You may not have heard of it.
Yes, I have.
Where Did America Go?
Yes, Where Did America Go? Yes.
Yeah, these things are underscoring, and God's giving me the musical platform and voice still to sing these songs.
Well, Pat, everybody should go to 14tanzania.org and help this program and really get going with it. Pat, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you. Letting me just jabber.
It's always good to hear you, Pat. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You know, it's such an honor to once again chat with Pat Boone here at On Screen and Beyond, especially with this worthy cause that he has going on. Be sure to go to onefortanzania.org to help the cause and help get clean water to the people of Tanzania. And check out the song One, Voices for Tanzania, on YouTube and all the streaming platforms, and see Pat Boone, Vince Gill, Larry Gatlin, Billy Dean, Lee Greenwood, and so many others as they sing the song. It's a worthy cause, and we need to get water to everybody. And if you are looking to subscribe to On Screen and Beyond, you know, just it's free. It'll get the episodes to you exactly as they're released. And you can do that on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. And be sure to tell a friend about On Screen and Beyond so they too can enjoy some of their favorite TV and movie music stars as they share their stories and projects with us each week here on Screen and Beyond. And that's it. That's a wrap for this episode of On Screen and Beyond. So until next time, when we once again take you on screen and beyond, I'm Brian Zemrak. Take care.